Recession warning, what this means for your real estate. Hey everybody, Scott Walters, buckle up, strap in. We got a hard-hitting pull, no punches, no sugarcoating it, no rainbows or sunshine. I'm just going to give it to you and give it to you straight. We got a good one to unpackage today. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing great. Let's jump back on the real estate merry-go-round and examine the good, the bad, and maybe a little bit of the
No, Scott, talk about rainbows and sunshine and lollipop.
No. Somebody's got to read between the lines and look between the economic cracks. We got some cracks to look through today. Welcome to the show. I hope everybody's doing great. So yeah, here's the big challenge, friends. We overheated the biggest asset class on planet Earth, the U.S. housing market. If we lose it, we will lose everything. We will be thrusted into a deep cycle recession, not a garden variety recession, not a mild recession. It will be a deep, deep recession. A potential economic depressionary level of a downturn is clearly the most plausible outcome of this one. Now, the good news or the bad news, depending on how you look at this one, we will get government intervention. We will initiate bailouts to try to hold up this housing market, which is in fact how we got into this mess in the first place. Unfortunately, you can't have overnight appreciation to never seen before highs. I've lived through a boom bust cycle as a bill-paying adult in the 2008 era. I caught the dreaded falling knife. I watched a house stuck on the market, chasing the market for a year, going through price reductions, and I made my move on it. And it had a lot further to go. And unfortunately, I learned my lesson in that one. So even as an active real estate agent, I have other good real estate. But, if you're in business long enough, you will have some deals that don't go well. And I had mine. Now, I don't regret it now. But I certainly don't want to go back and repeat the same thing over, expecting a different result. What's that the definition of? Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And that's what I saw a lot of people do in this bubble, even people that lived through the last bubble, because when money's flowing and the gravy train is going, everybody wants to believe this time is different. But the only thing that was different in this bubble versus the last bubble, this one was worse. Bigger bubble, bigger blowback. That's what's on the table, friends. So the reality is this: we're clearly stuck in suspended animation right now with the U.S. housing market, right? Because prices are elevated, sellers have euphoric recall, buyers are on the sidelines, lenders aren't lending, interest rates have been risen, too late, by the way, because really what should have happened, I don't know if this was orchestrated on purpose or an accident. I'll let you be the judge of that. It doesn't really matter. We're going to get out of the problem and in the solution, but the reality is this. When we had stimulus, it was target checks, stimulus measures, stimulus programs. Well, one of the stimulus measures was making real estate agents essential workers to keep the housing market from crashing and then drop interest rates to try to stimulate the market. But what they did is it kicked the can too far down the road, because the second it started to display that overnight appreciation and never seen before highs, they should have risen rates to tame it. They didn't. They let it go too long. And now we're in. Everything hinges on real estate. You can blame almost everything that we did on the housing bubble, and it will capture headlines again. And make no mistake about it, that's how we got into this mess. It was a sexy headline, the red hot housing market. It was all the land of milk and honey. Everybody wanted in, and I saw it firsthand. Before the crisis, I remember holding open houses. You're lucky if you had a couple people come through. You would be on the market for months before you got sold. Then it was a line around the block with bidding wars, going off the market day one without even getting a for sale sign in the yard. That was insane to me. And I just felt so bad working with these buyers. It's incredible. Even the rule of thumb in real estate, if you're a real estate agent, you always typically want to be a listing agent, because if you have the listing, everybody comes to you. If you're driving buyers around and writing offers and trying to get them off the fence, it's a lot different dynamic. So you always want to be a listing agent typically. Now, a lot of agents, I've worked with buyers, sellers, you do it all, right? I've done lease, I've done sell, I've done management, I've done it all. Love real estate. But the reality is this. What we're headed for now, courtesy of overheating the biggest asset class on planet Earth, is a recession. And it's really multi-layered, really. I always say it's going to have social, political, and economic components. And we're seeing all those play out right now, aren't we? And it's all courtesy of the crisis. You can't lock people at home for years and years and then stick them behind screens at this level and not expect some kind of blowback to occur. And people are really, I get out and about constantly. I'm a people person. I'm a salesman, right? I interact with people. I love people. And even me, I've been desensitized a lot just by my screen. And people are so glued to their screens. I mean, it's really wacky. If you had showed our ancestors what the populace looks like now is everybody's like this, avoiding eye contact. We're screen slaves, complete screen slaves. So with that being said, of course, when you get older, and I try to train my kids to do the same thing, try to have balance. If we're all going to be on our screens, but let's set up some times where we detach and unplug, right? We really need to do that. But the reality is this. Now, we're headed for a recession. Why, you ask? Of course, I'm going to tell you. Because we've always had recession throughout recorded history. There's 3 levels of an economic downturn. Correction, which we're in now because we see everything now starting to correct. And we're going to use the housing market as the barometer. Why? Because it's the biggest asset class on planet Earth. If we lose it, we lose everything. We need to look at the housing market, numero uno. Plus, it's the most important thing and the biggest purchase of all our lives. If we can't stop it at the correction phase, we will enter into the recessionary level of a downturn, like we had in 2008. That was the Great Recession. If we can't stop it there, we're going to end up in the depressionary level of a downturn, a deep cycle recession that we haven't seen since the 1929 stock market crash. Now, the stock market is very frothy. All the markets very frothy, but they are very also at the same time. Yes, they're frothy, but they're really volatile and unstable. And that's what happened when we overheated all these asset classes. Stocks, cryptos, real estate, you name it. Any investment vehicle, it just got too euphoric because of the amount of money that got dumped into the economy, and people had this excess surplus of cash. Now, we saw what happened with real estate. People, average Joes, going into Airbnb businesses, they're folding up. Commercial real estate now, those are adjustable rate loans, not fixed rate 30-year mortgages, residential loans. Our economy is in massive trouble with commercial real estate as we see more and more units going empty because we have no need for that. We're trying to convert it to residential, right? And there's this perceived notion that we have a housing shortage. Well, possibly because the amount of people that flooded into the country during the crisis, they need homes, right? So, I mean, it's a really significant dynamic that we're in right now. But one of the things you have to understand, friends, is not if you're going to have a recession, it's when. And I know a lot of you are feeling it right now. I know. See, I have regular income, and then I have other income. And some of my other income is working as a real estate agent. And as a commissioner, I was talking to my daughter yesterday. Of course, she wants to be a real estate agent. She's a great kid, smart. She's already working, great job. But she wants to be a real estate agent. And I remember the same thing when I was young. I want to be a real estate agent. That looks like a good gig. And anytime we have a housing bubble, agents are going to just pile in. I said, honey, listen, you should go for it. Follow your dreams. Go big. I love real estate. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I know you see me having a great time working in real estate. It was blood, sweat, and tears. I almost quit the industry more than once. And I'm glad I didn't because I absolutely couldn't imagine doing anything else. But your income is going to do this. So your best bet is really to have some regular income, get licensed, and segue in. And when your other income starts to outperform maybe your employment income or your other income, then you can transition over. But, this is the realities. I'm really just politely trying to communicate to the kid. We're going to have a recession. Now, you don't know what a recession is like. You've heard the word. You've studied it in economics in college. You understand it. But until you've lived through a recession, not only lived through one, as a bill-paying adult. Because when I was a kid, we went through a recession, but I didn't remember. My parents had to deal with it. I had no idea of what we were going through. Maybe I heard, we can't afford that right now, honey, or whatever. But when I went through 2008, I did that as a bill-paying adult, and I caught that dreaded falling knife. And see, here's the scary part, friends. What's going to happen is unemployment numbers are going to spike, and then foreclosures are going to start to spike as well. And then the government's going to be forced to step in and do whatever they can to try to appease to the masses, to try to help people stay in their homes. We saw that in 2008. It was called the Obama-backed loan modification program. And we saw loan mods, or actually loan forbearance, during the crisis. Another wacky one, right? Eviction bans, another wacky one. Now we see affordable housing popping up all over. The handouts are just insane. Our national debt is mathematically unbalanceable. We'll never be able to have a balanced balance sheet again in history. Everything is pointing towards another downturn. It's going to potentially be catastrophic. Catastrophic. So I always say, always live below your means. Always live below your means. Do not look for a house to give you your self-worth. It won't do it. And so many people, when it became polarizing, to get into a house, interest rates are low, this time is different, date the rate, marry the house, all this silliness that went on, it really walked people off a cliff. And I warned about this. Now, if you're in a house right now, the only thing you should be looking at, and this is the way I help my clients, especially first-time home buyers, make sure your payment is within its rent range, that it could stand on its own 2 feet as an income property. You'll hit the pillow at night feeling much better, knowing if anything happened to you or your income, or we hit a recession, you can still move into a cracker box, move someone else in, and cash flow that property. That's the number one thing. Agents don't tell you that. Why, you ask? Of course I'm going to tell you. Because they limit their buyer pool. Most people just walk them over to the lender, get them pre-qualified, go show them houses that they've qualified for. They're not checking rent ranges. They're short-sighted. There's only about 5% of agents in America today that are actually doing well. The rest of them are barely making a living. Depends. Maybe about the same pay as they'd make at a day job. Now, a lot of people, like I said, piled into this industry. They're getting weeded out right now. Only the strong are going to survive. Like I said, you need multiple income streams in this day and age. Back when our parents were buying homes, a single income earning household, blue collar, could have buy a home and provide for their family. Now what I'm seeing is you have to be dual income, white collar, high wage earner families or people to even be able to qualify for these. People are house poor all over. I saw this movie before in 2008. They walked away from homes. And final thoughts that come to you as a friend, as a content creator, as a real estate guy that wants to see you not only win in real estate, win in life. Understand the waters you're swimming in now. They're shark infested. America, welcome to the swimming pool. We've always had recessions throughout recorded history. You can't overheat the biggest asset class on planet Earth, the U.S. housing market that's not only capable of collapsing the U.S. economy, the global economy. It's happened before. It's always happened throughout recorded history. It's never been a question of if. It's always been when. I love real estate. I want you to own real estate. I want to help you buy or sell real estate. If you're buying right now, just check the property's rent range. Put your payment within it. That's the only security that you should be that I can offer you and that you should be looking at. If you're selling right now, find out who your competition is and beat them. Give people a reason to come over to your house and do walkthroughs. Get a good agent that's able to tour people through there and create urgency. No one's going to race over to see a house that's priced at the top of its price range. Agents are desperate. They'll go ahead and price you at the top of that price range just because they need your listing. Don't go for it. Don't bite. They're not going to help you. And if we get into a recession, it's going to be too late. And that's why I'm going to be here to blow the lid off at every step of the way, because it's not only what we need, it's in fact what we deserve. I appreciate the content. I want to humbly ask you to give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you. If you need help buying or selling real estate here in America, I have the biggest network of top-rated agents in the nation ready to assist you. It would be our honor and our privilege to do so. Email in the description for you as well. If you enjoyed this video, you're going to love the next video, and there's an easy subscribe icon for your convenience. As always, thank you for your time. Please go make it count today. God bless. And I'll see you on the next video.